Hello and welcome to Early Childhood Ireland's podcast, which features interviews and discussions on all issues relating to high quality in the early years and school age care sector. In our episodes, we've a range of speakers who are leaders in the areas that matter to Early Childhood Ireland members. This podcast series is proudly supported by Oireachtas Insurance, which offers a comprehensive range of cover at discounted premiums for both business and personal insurance products. So visit www.oireachtas.ie for more information. I'm Maura Corbett and I work with Early Childhood Ireland. In this special edition of our podcast, we went along to Boswell's Hotel in Dublin to our Meet the Members event. This event is part of our strategic policy work, where a group of Early Childhood Ireland members met with key members of the Oireachtas to discuss our Budget 2024 submission. We're most appreciative of the time and expertise that members of our reference groups and others from communities throughout Ireland invest in working to articulate their on-the-ground experiences of the early years and school age care sector. This informs and influences our work with policymakers to advance our vision of every young child is thriving and learning in quality early years and school age care in centre-based and child-minding settings. If you'd like to find out more about our budget submission, you'll find it on our website, or you can listen to a previous episode of this podcast where Frances Byrne, Director of Policy, outlines the development and the rationale behind our budget submissions. Early Childhood Ireland has 5 key proposals for next year's budget, which build on existing provision and policies, but would also be transformative. I'm just going to play a clip here from Frances Byrne from that previous podcast that I mentioned, outlining why we have 5 asks this year.
In the last few years, we have introduced the discipline of one ask, if you like. So we looked for the single agency, and we were delighted to get that into the programme for government. We looked for a 5-year plan last year. But this year we have decided, because of the juncture that we find ourselves at in terms of the halfway point of first 5, very critical periods of implementing the childminding action plan, and the impact that the National Childcare Scheme increase last year has had, and we just made the decision we can't. There are too many things, and actually we were lucky to get it down to 5.
So, just to remind you, the key points of our budget submission are to publish a 5-year plan for implementing additional investment to reach 4 billion. That 4 billion would represent 1% of GDP by early 2029, thus achieving a publicly funded early years and school age care system in Ireland. Building on Ashter, and to embed the philosophy of Reggio Emilia to ensure that the rights of children are interlinked with educators, families and communities. And again, we hear from Frances here to show why that's important.
So there was some very helpful joined up thinking within the organisation during the last few years, just about, even though we didn't know about the billion in advance, but just about the responsibility we have as Early Childhood Ireland, as the leading, organisation, to be able to answer the question, if the Minister for Children knocked on your door tomorrow and said, I have another billion, we have to be able to answer the question, what should I spend it on? And we were absolutely delighted that with great support from National Pyjama Day, the organisation was able to renew, embed our relationship with Reggio Emilia, Reggio Children rather, post-COVID. We're the Irish Network member. And so that project funded by National Pyjama Day really got us to, I suppose, our policy team to stand back and look at it and make a decision and be brave, to say, yes, actually, we think that this is what should be further considered. It's already there in Ashter. The philosophy is there. It's world renowned. It has an absolute dimension about the responsibility around advocacy for children, advocacy for community, advocacy for the approach. We thought it fitted very neatly. The project gave us the opportunity during the week when the colleagues from Reggio Emilia were here to meet an Oireachtas committee, the key Oireachtas committee on children, and brief them about Reggio Emilia. And it was really heartening to see pennies dropping, to see people, who have a lot of things coming at them, not just early years and school age care, really getting it and understanding it. So we decided that it's really important that we're highlighting that this is not the exclusive way to go. Of course, there are lots of other very important approaches already embedded within our system here, but that we would really like to see more embedding of Reggio children and the Reggio Emilia approach, because we really think that it highlights the rights of children in a particular way, and we think it's really appropriate for the way the system is already developing within Ireland, even at a policy level. When you take out the policy documents that are hugely influential now in the overall direction, you can see consideration of the importance of educators, you can see consideration of the rights of children, you can see particularly concerns and considerations about children with special rights, as they're known by Reggio children. So we have decided to take all of that and add it into our budget submission this year.
Unifying the existing funding programmes, that's the NCS, National Childcare Scheme, the ECCE scheme, and core funding, so settings can use capacity as a funding measurement. Increase the graduate premiums to incentivise the recruitment and retention of graduates. And the fifth one is to implement fully the better data recommendations from Partnership for the Public Good and initiate national and local 2- and 5-year planning cycles to ensure there are sufficient early years and school age care places in settings and in childminders' homes for children in their own communities. So with that background and context for our Meet the Members event, at the Meet the Members event, I asked some of the politicians present why they see investment in early years and school age care as being so important in society. Here's what they had to say.
Okay, so Kathleen Funchion, the chair of the Oireachtas Committee on Children. I'm delighted to be at this event today, and I think it's really important, particularly in advance of the budget, that we're pushing for more investment in the early years sector. It makes perfect sense that we invest in our children, that we ensure that they are able to go to a creche facility where they can get the preschool hours, where they can get the support and the attention and the care that they need sometimes. And as a parent, I can be guilty of this as well, that you are looking at the childcare aspect of it, that you're trying to get out to work, but there's actually such benefits for kids in early education, even from 0 to 3, in terms of like the play and what the skills that they learn and develop in a childcare setting is incredible. I'm always amazed when I look at kids and see what they can learn and what they actually will learn from early years education. So I have such admiration for those that work in the sector. I think that they need to be valued as well. They need to be rewarded with a proper wage, and we need to realise that this is a really vital public service, and we need to be moving towards a model of proper investment every year where there is not stress and worry for everyone working in the sector and trying to run the sector, and at the end of the day it's going to benefit our children. So it's really important that we see in Budget 2024 increased investment, and that it's in the right areas.
Stanton TD.
And why do you think early childhood education is so important, David?
Well, first of all, children learn so much in the early years. They learn a language, they learn how to socialise, they learn so much. And it's hugely important that they actually have the opportunity to avail of high quality education at that time. Socialisation, language, looking after having their own self-esteem is built at that time. It's really important. That's one. The second thing, obviously, for our economy and for business, for employers, it's important that we have high quality childcare available, that parents can actually go to work knowing their children are looked after well, and that businesses then can actually avail of people who have high skills and who want to actually go to work and be at work. So it's very important that we have this, and it's a priority for government. We had a conference in Fine Gael at the weekend in Waterford, and again it was one of the big themes that came up, the importance of high quality, available and affordable childcare.
Dara Calleary TD for Mayo. Early years education is incredibly important. Children are our most precious resource, and we have to give them every start, every possible opportunity. I thank everybody working in the sector for all that they're doing. We have invested significantly as a government in this sector, but we need to do more, and we know that, and we need to put it on a much long-term footing. But thanks to the team here this morning for the briefing, for really informative briefing, and I look forward to working with them, not just ahead of the budget, but afterwards as we put a foundation on this sector.
Jennifer Whitmore, Social Democrat TD for Wicklow and spokesperson on children.
So why do you think investment in early years is important, Deputy Whitmore?
Children are the absolute fundamental core of our society. We have to absolutely give them the best start in life, and we need to support parents to do that. And the only way we're going to give them that best start is actually to invest in the early years, invest in families, and invest in the centres that are providing them with those levels of education, particularly at the very, very early days and early years of their lives. And we need to invest in our children, that we need to invest substantially in children. And when you make that move back to the workforce, you need to be absolutely 100% sure that you're handing your baby over to someone who can look after them and has the ability to support and care and love for them in an early childcare setting the way you would do at home. And I think that's why we need to make sure that that investment is there, because it is not going to happen unless government supports families and supports the sector to make sure that they can provide the best care for those children in the early years.
I also asked our members present what their hopes are for Budget 2024.
Good morning. My name is Orlaith Doyle from Carrickbush, and actually collecting the early years. I'm actually delighted to be here this morning. Actually, thank you to Early Childhood Ireland for representing our sector. I've had a good look at the plans for the 5 steps. I can definitely see that the 5-year plan will bring us into the next stage as that the last 5 years has. The areas that I suppose for our services is the burden of the admin, which is actually taken from the child. As we're spending increasing hours in the office, that essentially is actually taken away from the best interest of the child, and that needs to be looked at. That the funding models actually need to be actually more cohesive and together, and that will also make our lives easier. Actually, staffing is proving very, very challenging to incentivise. Actually, more to come into the area, I would be hoping for some sort of an apprenticeship model where actually graduates could work and actually train at the same time, and that would be in the best interest of children as well. And yeah, so other than that, I'm just that delighted to be here. I just hope it makes a difference today.
Louise Kilbane, Lollipop Lane, Mayo and Sligo. So for me, these 5 asks are quite key. Over the last number of years, we've been working on quality within the services, and quality, as we know, is better outcomes for children, their families, and indeed our wider society. So if we're looking at the 5 asks year, publishing a 5-year plan will give us a clear direction of where we want to go. We need to increase our investment, and we need to ensure that all services are operating from a level playing field, be it community, private or department run, because as we know, there's a range of different types of services within the country, and regardless of where children attend, they should all be getting the same services, should be the same additional investment into each service, and every child, regardless of where they live, should have access to high quality services. building on Ashter as part of the quality programme, I think, is quite key. Ashter has been around for a number of years now, and I think we now need to move forward to ensure that we're bringing the top research to the Ashter programme, but also through the graduate programmes. Like, we have many graduate degree programmes within the country, and our graduates are leaving the sector because they're not getting the graduate premiums, or they're feeling undervalued. When you graduate with a degree from another qualification, you automatically receive that wage. So it's very important that happens now. And this will indeed increase quality for children, but it also increase better outcomes for children because they will have those key workers for longer. Happier staff, happier children, happier families, happier services.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm from the Little Willows Preschool in Finglas. I'm here today really to talk about kind of the budget for 2022 or 2024, sorry. 2024. And for us, I mean, we're a very small preschool in Finglas, and it really would make a huge difference if this was accepted for the budget 2024. We need a lot of support in preschools, not only for the teachers, but also for the children that attend those schools and for the parents. We really need a lot more support and funding in terms of proper structure for salaries, because we are educators, and we need to be treated professionally as our counterparts in primary school. We also do the same with the curriculum as well. So it's important to understand that there's so many similarities, but also a massive disparity in terms of how we're treated professionally and also how we are paid. So for us, it would make the world of difference, and for our parents as well, so that they're supported, that we may be able to do longer hours with the ECI system and the scheme. And that could really help our children with additional needs. We have a lot of children with complex needs in our school, and for us, you know, they love going to school, we love having them, but we need more support. So the AIM Level 7 needs to be given a lift as well. So for us, if we could really push for all of these important key points, it would make a massive difference. And another thing I think is really, really important is helping preschools set up, you know, helping us expand. If we are, you know, kind of idealised as a place that takes children with complex needs, or a place that is really supportive in the community, then we should be helped in terms of funding.
And finally, here's a word from our Deputy CEO, Susan Selfridge, who also attended the event.
It was really great to see so many of our members and our public representatives here today in Buswells to support our budget submission, where we really want to put our children at the heart of early years and school age care in Ireland.
So I hope you enjoyed some of the flavour of the Meet the Members event. It was a busy room with lots of advocacy for the future development of our sector. Budget Day is on October the 10th. Keep an eye on our social media and website for developments on the day and in the days following, as we get more detail and deliver analysis on the announcements. Thank you for listening to this episode of Early Childhood Ireland's podcast, which is proudly supported by Oireachtas Insurance. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and spread the word to your friends and colleagues, and stay tuned for our next episode.